Hey, this is Tim Ripper Owens.
Hi, this is Heather Michelle from Grave Shadow.
This is Bill from Striker.
This is Charlotte from Delane.
This is Tony from Sonata Arctica, and you're listening to the Great Metal Debate podcast.
Angels of mercy, devastation all around. Angels of mercy, surviving the decay round.
Welcome, Great Metal Debate listeners, to another episode of the Great Metal Debate. This is Brian, and tonight I have with me a return guest, Mr. Ralf Scheepers from Primal Fear. So, Ralf, you're 11 albums and 19 years into it. How's Primal Fear doing? How do you feel about it?
Very, very fit. So, we've just came home from the European leg of our world tour this year, because we can really say now it's a world tour, going to Australia the very first time.
Yeah.
Coming back to South America also this year in the autumn.
Uh-huh.
And Japan is also on the list, so there's quite a lot of things to do this year. Everybody's looking forward. There was a little bit of a problem. Everybody was ill on the European leg, so we struggled through it in the end. So it was not so easy. 15 people in the bus are having just the flu, And,
oh my gosh.
The vocalists suffer, but we went through it. It's all good with a good technique in warming up, and singing is totally different to speaking, So that's the reason why we made it in the end.
Well, then that's good. I want to talk a little bit about that tour, but first I want to, the last interview was more about your views on metal in general and kind of the business end of the industry. But today I kind of only want to talk about two things. I want to talk about Rulebreaker and then the touring.
Absolutely cool.
Yeah. Well, now usually when I listen to an album, Rolf, I expect 4 to 6 songs to be good. I expect 2 to be really good, and you usually kind of wait for the filler songs, the songs that were just put on there. And I got to tell you, brother, that did not happen with Rulebreaker. I mean, 13 songs put out in January, and I didn't get let down by any of them. What do you think about the album, and your thoughts on it, and kind of maybe talk about Magnus being on it too?
I absolutely love the album. I mean, of course, it's the new album, and every musician would tell you, well, the new baby is the best. But to be very honest, I really think we're really somehow the prime time. And we don't really have the prime right now, and we keep it as long as possible. And I absolutely agree with you. There's no fillers. I mean, nowadays you can't afford fillers anymore. I never thought you even could have afford that in the past. But you were mentioning it. Some bands in the 80s somehow didn't have enough songs together and made maybe a little bit of a Sound of Music in the end. But I think nowadays you can't afford this, and you really have to deliver good quality, and that's what we want at first place. I mean,
right.
There's nothing going on which we don't like, and so that's the reason why we are so much satisfied with the album too.
Well, and I picked bands that I listen to because I don't get filler songs, and in listening to this, I just kept thinking, well, the next song won't be as good as this song just because that song was so great, and it just didn't happen. I mean, I really love this album.
Thank you very much.
How was it working with Magnus?
Amazing. He's just a composing machine together with Matt. We have to say that we're a really good team in the end. There's 5 people involved writing, and you can really count on each of us in the end when it comes to writing songs together. Magnus is just absolutely positive, crazy doing that stuff at home. He's just a riff machine. And Matt comes also in for one main writer in the band,
right.
and me and Alex too, and also Tom is now involved again because he came back to the band. So it's a good writing team, and we have really the advantage now having ideas from 5 members, and that's a good thing. So working with Magnus is just fabulous. He's just really a wonderful person, and also working wise, absolutely great to work with him.
Sure. Now he doesn't tour with you, is that correct?
No, he's got family at home, got 3 kids, and we absolutely respect this. And I know what it is because how it is because I have a boy at home too.
Uh-huh.
And yes, and I'm divorced and I'm taking care of him 50%. So in the end, if I'm not there, he will be all the time at my ex's house, which is not bad either. But in the end, we share, and of course, I miss him, he misses me. But yes, that's part of the business. I mean, it's a job, and I love my job. It's just a dream, living the dream somehow. It doesn't look like it some days when you're on the road. It's just like, oh my God, I could really have a break now. But it's really hard work in the end. But we love what we do for the 1.5 hours when we stand on stage.
Sure, and if you have kids, then you pretty much life on the road is not that different than tour. Because kids can be like a crazy tour sometimes. I have 3 of my own.
That's true.
Now, I've heard in a couple of interviews, you get asked about your favorite songs, and I thought it's funny because you answered that. You said it's like picking your favorite kid.
Absolutely.
So, do all these songs become meaningful in the process of writing them?
Yes, I mean, in the end, when you listen back, I mean, everybody, it's the same to the fans. If you listen to an album the first time, sometimes you have to really listen to it many times. It's the same here when we produce and record. I mean, we hear the songs when we record them about how many thousand times until it's going to be released. So in the end, you really, really satisfied and convinced that this is it. I mean, you're absolutely agreeing to what you do. Right. And so it's hard to pick a favorite in the end because you know all these tracks already so long now until it's released for public for the people out there. So it's always hard to pick a favorite. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So now that you've told me it's hard to pick a favorite, let me ask you what your favorites. No.
Yes.
Which songs hold the most meaning for you? I think I want to phrase it that way.
There's also another factor, Brian. There's also this factor when you play the songs live. It's a different approach when you do it live because sometimes those things also have to work. And this time we played 5 songs. We skipped 1 song. We were supposed to play 6, but in the end it was too long. The set was just too long. So we skipped 1 new track, which somehow didn't work that good like we wanted to. And you have to really find that out in the rehearsing room and also live. And we played 5 long songs live, and that's another evidence for us that these songs are really working. And I mean, in metal we trust Angels of Mercy. The End is Near. Those tracks are really absolutely wonderful to play live. And but coming back to the album, I really think the epic track We Walk Without Fear is one of my favorites because you just can sit back and just close your eyes and have your own story from what's going on in your mind, So I think basically music is also there for somehow the people to make their own picture and not only just take what they get from the artist in the end. Music is just like a book, Everybody sees it a little bit different, but there's a storyline in it, which is somehow always the red thread in the end. But everybody can think a little bit around it, and it's the same with music.
We Walk Without Fear is such a classic track. It's so good, man. For listeners, you got to check it out. It's really good. I worry about. Sometimes when I listen to other interviews and people, are praising the artist, and it can come off sometimes as disingenuous. But I'm going to tell you, I was talking to my co-host the other night after listening to this, and I told him, and I mean this, I think I've already heard the metal album of the year for 2016. I cannot imagine hearing a better album than this for metal. I mean, I just can't.
Thank you very much. Good. Thank you very much for this. I mean, we had one album out. I don't know which album it was, but it was also released very early in the year, January or February, and people also said this is going to be one of the best albums in the year, and by December they've almost forgot it.
Well, trust me, I'm not going to forget this. This is one of the.
It's going to happen to the Rulebreaker album.
I mean, you've got so many great albums, but I mean, this may be your best yet. I really do think that. I'm not just saying.
Me too, absolutely.
Very cool. Well, let's talk about tours for a minute. You just finished Ruling Europe. That was kind of the name of it. How'd that go, and kind of who did you tour with?
It went just amazing this time. I mean, it was one of the best tours we ever did until everybody was ill. I told you already,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
this didn't change the good feeling we had on the road together, and everything was really working smooth. We were touring together with Brainstorm. They were opening for us, and the Canadian band Striker.
Oh.
And it's just amazing. It was a really good package for the fans, and people loved it afterwards. They came to us, in the end, saying that they loved all three bands, and of course they, without being disrespectful to the other bands, but they felt, of course, the headliner in the end.
Sure.
But it was a good package for the people, and that's what counts in the end, you know.
That's great. I interviewed Bill from Striker not too long ago, and that new album of theirs is also great. I mean,
Absolutely, they're
So,
really
yeah.
talented guys, and they have really a bright future, in my opinion. And I told them, because they also have, you know, it's not like we don't want to have young bands like ass crawlers or whatever, but they have really respect, those guys, and really respect. And it was not easy sometimes when the sound check was longer when we shot the DVD, and sometimes it was just late because we came in late and there were technical circumstances that we couldn't do sound check earlier, so they had to do sound check sometimes when the people came in the venue already, but they never bitched about anything, and we were sorry about it, but this happens, and still, I mean, it's not like treating people bad, it's just sometimes with free bands, there's a certain window of time you have, and if you just have some problems here and there, no matter what, technical-wise or also something else, maybe someone's ill or whatever. But sometimes you just have this, that you're not on time, and they were absolutely understanding.
That's actually great. That leads right into my next question. Now, you guys you're headed to North America on April the 26th in Connecticut, and you know that's the biggest part of the tour. It goes all the way into June. My question is, and you may have answered it already, is touring an art form? Are there constants that always happen, or do you constantly have to be flexible and, you know, ready to do the next thing that needs to get done?
Yes, I mean, you have to be flexible as a human person. I mean, as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you have your what can I say? You have your plannings and you have your itineraries on road, but sometimes some factors or some parameters just change, and you have to really change with them. Otherwise, you can't do this. You know, I mean, everything is just hurry up and wait in this business. Sometimes you really have to wait hours on an airport or whatever,
Right.
and then you just have to hop on stage and do it. I mean, I remember we did the Metal Gods tour back then in 2003 with Halford, and we just came in for, I don't know which airport it was, Chicago, I think it was. And we came in and we were late already. And the bus driver, the nightliner driver says, well, I saw you guys already, but I thought you need a little break. And then, no, we were fucking hurry. So we hopped on the bus, and I was warming up in the bus, and we just went to the venue. It was a House of Blues venue in Chicago, I remember. And I remember Jim Silva from Halford saying, oh, here comes the band from Stuttgart. You have 2 minutes.
Oh, my gosh.
2 minutes. So we just were changing our clothes and hopped on stage and plugged in and played, you know. Sometimes you have to really act that way. It's not working different if you don't do this. You have no future. You have to be adapting here and there.
That's awesome. Now, later in the summer, you're going to be ruling Japan and Australia. You already mentioned that. That's a world tour. Now, Ralf, I want you to think back to the very first gig you ever played. Did you ever expect it to be this big, this important, and this worldwide?
You know, I don't look at it that way, because
Okay.
if I would say, what do I expect in 20 years, it's not the way I live somehow, you know. It's just living step by step. I mean, back then I had to learn. Everybody had to learn a lot still, and you know, but was somehow the motor and the engine behind it was, of course, being hungry, being a musician and doing what you hear and see from those bands which did it already in a successful manner, like Saxon, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Scorpions, and so forth. And of course, you were dreaming this, and you somehow get addicted if you start doing this on your own in the rehearsal room, and you're hearing, oh wow, this doesn't sound so bad. But when I look at it now, it was sounding not that good. At that time, it was pretty okay. So in the end, it's just you should follow what you love to do and what you just get into it, and you smell the blood, and you just want to keep doing this, because it's not only somehow standing on stage, it's also somehow it's satisfying to write your own music and releasing it and get the feedback. And I mean, it's so hard to explain. There's so mixed emotions behind it. It's really hard to explain for me. But back then, I didn't really look at it. Oh, maybe in 25 years I'm gonna be a rock star, whatever. If you think like that, I mean, I would quit and call it a day maybe after 5 years, because it was going so slowly. And that's the truth behind it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll from AC/DC. I mean, they knew what they were writing about back then, and it's absolutely what we went through in the end too. I mean, I'm now making music since, 35 years. My time flies.
Dude, that may be the best answer I've ever heard on the podcast. You smell the blood, you live it day to day. That's awesome. I love it. Okay, so I noticed you played a gig with Gamma Ray. So do you step right back into that, or do you have to go practice with them?
That was coincidental. I mean, I just was listening in the car when I drove to music. Kai was texting me that what they are using, and I just want to stop by. And I said, yeah, well, I have time. Why not doing it? And I knew that it's going to be one with the world. And then, Then I was coming late, maybe 1 hour before the show. And then he said, why don't you sing also the first verse of Heading for Tomorrow? I was like, oh my God, yeah, I can't remember 100%, but let's do it. So it was really fun. And I had so much fun that I drove with them to Prague, to Czech Republic, that very next day, because I drank a little bit of red wine and I couldn't drive back home. So I just hopped on the tour bus and did the other show in Prague the very next day. Right. It was good times. I mean, I never want to miss Gamma Ray. It was really amazing what we did, and we're still friends after so many years now. Kai is a wonderful person, and also Dirk and all the other guys from Gamma Ray too. So it was quite fun to do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now I want to encourage all the listeners. You go find Rulebreaker wherever you need to go to get it. But Ralf, where can fans get merchandise and music from Primal Fear?
Well, merchandise, of course, we bring a lot when we're touring. But there's also a link on our homepage, www.primalfear.de, and you can find a link with merchandise, and you can purchase it there. Excellent. So basically, we bring it to the venues, but if we're too far away from your location, if you can't come, just check out our homepage and you'll find everything.
Excellent. Yeah, there is everything. I've got that page up right now, and you can get everything you need for Primal Fear there. So, well, listen, Ralf Scheepers of Primal Fear, thank you again, and I want to wish you good luck on tour. And
thank you very much too.
Keep making that awesome metal, dude.